Relationships celebrated. Unions memorialized in both tradition and innovation. Rare footage that show how the most universal of emotions become unique expressions of indigenous Philippine cultures. From coy flirtations in dance to charming spoken love letters. From symbolic conquest to journeys on the open waters, all reflections of our boundless energy. Kakaibang sigla sa pagsusuyo, pagkakaisa at pagmamahalan. This is a real love story and a real wedding of two young people who just happened to be Tboli. Two young people who chose to celebrate their union in the traditional Tboli fashion.
First year ng nakita kami sa hospital, sa Comedics, Rama, Hospital Marbel. Tapos kinuha ko yung number niya, and then text me. Pagkatapos tawag, pagkatapos sabi niya punta sa kanilang bahay. Yun, pumunta ako sa kanilang bahay, tapos pinangalanan ko sa iyang pamilya niya.
At saka nung nag-text siya, akala ko hindi siya magte-text sa akin. Nag-text siya sa akin at saka sinabi ko sa sino to? Bigla akong na-expire. Kaya yun, niloadan niya ko, nag-load siya sa akin. Nung nagkita po hindi naman ako naghahanap ng nobyo kasi nag-aaral pa kasi ako noon. At saka hindi ko naman alam na nandun siya.
Yung kanyang parents, hindi buto sa akin kasi daw, addict ako. Sa mata nila, addict daw. Sabi daw nila, lasinggiro daw ako. Pero sa mata lang nila, lasinggiro ang pagtingin sa akin. Pero sabi ko, pwede ang tao magbago, once in a lifetime. May pagbago ang tao, di ba? Sabi ko, nila. Kung magsama kami in this, pwede na akong baguhin akong sarili.
Sabi ng mama ko, dapat mag-aral ka muna, huwag ka muna maghanap ng mga lalaki. Yun yung kasi ayaw talaga ng mama ko sa kanya at papa ko. Lahat ng auntie at yung mga kapatid ng papa ko ayaw talaga sa kanya kasi hindi nila gusto na mag-asawa ako na bata pa daw ako kasi bata pa ako kaya kailangan daw magtapos yung pag-aaral ko. Pero sabi ko sa kanila, ma, nandito na. Yung sabi ko sa yun, sabi ng mama ko, andyan na eh, wala tayong magagawa. Kaya yun, yung mga parents ko, kailangan nila magpakasal at saka Dory. Hindi na talaga mawawala sa tradisyon namin yung Dory. Kailangan talaga dapat mayroon. Dapat ibibigay mo kung ano hihingi ng mga magulang ko, dapat ibigay mo. Kung ano yung kanilang gustong hihingiin, dapat ibigay ng lalaki.
First time sir ba na sir, magkita ko siya sir, sa kanya, maganda. Parang sir, diwata ng dagat.
Din love po, sir. At saka yung na parang nagagandaan ako sa mukha niya.
Yung pamahal sir, subang-sobra sir. Subang-sobra. Lahat. Kahit anong lawak niyang dagat, tatawirin ko para sa kanya. Kahit malayo yung bituin, aabutin ko pa sa kanya.
Alam mo, Ike, mahal na mahal kita.
Jingri Sula, ikaw ang buhay ko. Palangga ka. Mahal na mahal kita.
Aiki Panes and Jen Grace Sula were already living together and had a child. The decision to eventually marry in traditional Tboli fashion was a mutual one. Jen Grace is related to an important Tboli culture bearer, Rosie Sula. Rosie has helped Dayaw many times in our documentation of Tboli culture. She is an accomplished chantress who knows by heart the Tboli epic.
Anya udelet na mo luidu han moyo uyugi kun lana uyani ba ban maganan ga setibun keden libun wan ken hulu uknen kun awatol ken uduk ngepni idukul kidul ini kamlibun tinud lembut lebe tolong hungul lembut lebe aban umayuk ni kun alahai alap lobun amin liyo segemut alama ini be aban utakui manyaman kamanam duudwed.
Her knowledge and expertise have made her a valued resource person for the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, as well as a respected teacher of young Tboli. It was Rosie who contacted the Dayaw team to document the wedding of Aiki and Jen Grace. Fortunately, we arrived just in time as a family of both bride and groom, as well as villagers, had begun to gather in the small barrio. The traditional Tboli wedding, or moninum, as recorded by the scholars like Father Gabriel Casal and the UNESCO, is a complex and expensive series of feasts that lasts from 2 to 7 years. It is considered the most important and expensive of the Tboli ritual celebrations, as it is not a marriage between just one couple, but many, all whose families share in the yearly expenses entailed. The most significant part of the Moninum celebration is the building of a ritual house or gonobong. The sacred spaces of the gonobong are marked by rolls of tinalak textiles, the most sacred of which is a yekumu, a 3-panel blanket. The gonobong would stand for as long as the wedding rituals needed to be performed. In the years in between the ritual feasts, before the brides and grooms are considered truly married, the matter of the dowry is discussed and settled by their families. The relatives prepare rice wine, tinalak textiles, and ritual paraphernalia for the grand feast. Horse fights were also an important spectacle that marked these grand events. Only after the final wedding ceremony was performed would the couples be truly married.
Nowadays, we cannot do it because we consider the financial things, we consider the religious faith, belief, and practices. So, because of the presence of religion, I think this moninum minimize and eradicate. So, as a believer, I believe both in Christ and in our own spirits, because we believe in the Tboli way of believing in God. We believe there is only one God, an ultimate mystery who is from heaven. We believe there is Duata. We call him Duata. God is Duata. We call him Duata.
The wedding ceremony of Aiki and Jen Grace was in no way intended to replicate the grand moninum feasts of decades past.
We cannot forget the simple way of wedding. What we are going to do is a simple way of doing the rituals in a usual marriage ceremony. The marriage rites of the Tboli people is that we should have this mulu.
And under the watchful eye of Rosie and other Tboli elders, key elements of the traditional wedding were incorporated, such as a designation of gonobong, the house where the wedding would take place. In this case, the Gono Hofo Cultural Center, which Rosie had established herself, was a chosen site. The weavers had also prepared tinalak textiles to partition the spaces of the gonobong. Tinalak textiles are among the most valued of the Tboli's material culture. Dayaw has documented the process of ikat weaving, as demonstrated by the late Manlilikanang Bayan awardee, Lang Dulay, up to the works of more contemporary master weavers like Barbara Ofung. All women who carried the highest Tboli ideals of what a master weaver represented in a community. For a woman to be a good weaver meant that she was also a healer, a matriarch, and a respected voice in the community. The weaving of tinalak has become a means of survival for many weavers who turn out commercial designs. But tinalak is first and foremost an important element in symbolic exchanges, in dowries and in ritual.
Dapat magbigay sila ng malaking dowry dahil nga doon sa malaking cover na yun na expensive na tinalak cloth. We call that kumo. Symbolize kasi yan ng pagiging Tboli namin. Pag hindi yun gagawin, parang mawawala na yung aming paniniwala na in anything there are spirits, like especially the spirit of Abaka, we call it Sudalo. So we always involve this tinalak. We always respect the tinalak. Kung ano yung sinusunod ng mga matatanda, kaya ginagawa namin sa ngayon.
The most important of the tinalak textiles is a kumu, a 3-panel blanket that is considered sacred. It is this blanket that will be used to symbolically cover Jen Grace as it covered all other traditional Tboli brides before her. The preparations for the wedding began with the preparation of food for the guests. This was a community activity participated in by the village and the bride's family. On the appointed day, Aiki and his kinsfolk arrived. He was in the traditional garb of the Tboli male, the Fanbi Sentala. The groom arrives on horseback, accompanied by music and his retinue. This parade is called the Mulu. It is the mother of the bride who welcomed the groom and his relatives wearing a necklace or kemagi. Meanwhile, Jen Grace had been adorned in finery, the kegal, misif, or the embroidered blouse, the lewek or tubular garment, and the assortment of bead and brass finery. The most notable being the heavy brass belt with chainmail and bells called the highlet. In the stage called Kenekum Ye Kumu Tinalak Bong, Jen Grace was covered by her female relatives with a Ye Kumu. The covering, a Tboli bride with a Ye Kumu, as well as a partitioning of the house with rolls of Tinalak textiles are an important symbolic act, one that we will see in the succeeding episode. Dayaw is fortunate to have been invited to document this traditional wedding, no matter how altered by contemporary sensibilities. For even in its most simplified elements, their wedding is an important document. It records how a young Tboli couple, Aiki and Jen Grace, chose to mark their milestone with Tboli Dayaw, our knowledge, our pride.